Oh, Trev. Oh, Trev. Oh. Not going to double dip though. I tell you what. It's going to take ages to get that off my finger. You either love it or you hate it, Trev.
Courtesy Mr. Byland.
You either love it or you hate it. Hello everyone. I'm back. Back from the Great British Beer Festival, Trev. 1 week of intense beer research. Great show. You saw hopefully the episode. This is like, I feel like Spider-Man and Venom, you know, it's all creeping all over me. Really good actually to see what's going on in the UK right now. Lots of fun stuff that's happening, and I think if what's gone on in the past is going to happen in the future, some of the styles and some of the evolution of the styles of beers are going to come over here to Sweden. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I bet you in a few years' time some of the things that we're seeing that are happening over in the UK that have come from America are going to be coming over here. So it's interesting stuff. I've drunk an awful lot of pints over the last week, gone up a few kilos, Trev. So that's going to stop from now on. I'm back. I'm going to start working out and drinking less beer but better beer. Okay, and we're going to start off with this one. While I was away, got a little letter from the postman to tell me to come and pick a parcel up. Did that earlier this week, and lo and behold, I found myself the very proud owner of a couple of bottles of this Mohawk barley wine. Now, if you've been following the blog at all, you'll know that Mohawk is probably one of the most successful, I call it, beer franchises that's ever come into Sweden. It's really a sort of a brand that's been made up. It's a collaboration between Wicked Wine, which is a drinks importer here in Sweden, and they've got together with a very talented brewer called Stefan Gustafsson, and Stefan has created this, well, together they've created this Mohawk series. They started off with a rye, went to an extra IPA, I think it was, which was delicious, one of the best beers that I've tried from this country in a long time, and then for the summer they had a summer IPA, great one too. I thought that was it, to be honest with you, but they've surprised us all by coming up with this barley wine, which is going to be released in about 2 weeks now, in the 1st of September. And after that, they're going to produce another one more Mohawk, called Mohawk Stitch, which is a brown porter. So that's something else we can look forward to. But you know me, Trev, what do I like more than anything in the world? Women. What's the second thing I like more than anything in the world?
Beer.
Correct. But not just any old beer, beer that other people can't get hold of.
Barley wine, of course.
Well, I love barley wines. Barley wines, have to be honest with you, a little confession, but one of my favourite styles.
Can I have some more guesses?
Yeah,
craft beer.
Craft beer. Better, you get hotter, warmer.
I can't be bothered.
But you can't be bothered. What I love more than anything else is getting beers before anyone else can. So that if Beer Sweden can get hold of a beer, if we can scoop a beer, then it's pretty certainly going to be put it on. We'll put it on here on Beer Sweden TV. So here's a little tip: any brewers out there, any breweries or any importers, hi, you know who you are. If you want to get any of your beers on Beer Sweden TV, please send them to us a couple of weeks before they hit the shelves of the Systembolaget. We will gladly stick them on the show. What do you think, Trev?
Yes.
So this is what we're doing here. I think it was a few nights ago I did a spontaneous live tasting on Facebook of this beer, so I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. But because it's such a standout beer, such an unusual Swedish beer, I thought it was worthy of actually having another look at it on camera. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to open it first of all. Nice little puff of CO2 there, Trev. That's good. That means that's always a good sign with a beer, if you get that reassuring little sort of puff of gas. I'll pour it up for you here. Now this is strong stuff, Trev. Do you know how strong this is?
About 10.2, I guess.
10.5, 10.5%. Not to be played with, this beer, but very typical of the barley wine style.
Nice colour. Lovely
colour. A little bit cloudy, but a beautiful colour. I said on the blog that it kind of looks old. There's some lovely smells coming over here, Trev. It kind of looks old, it kind of looks ancient. I think of it almost like one of those old leather chairs, you know, the sort of Winchester chairs. That kind of look to it. Got a slightly sort of off-white, slightly corny sort of colour head to it. That's going to collapse quite quickly, I think, even though I give it a whirl. it's going to collapse quite quickly. Again, pretty typical of the barley wine style. Now, before I go on about barley wine, Trev, one little snippet of information for you people out there. Did you know, we've just found out that YouTube are allowing people to upload videos that usually the limit was 10 minutes. Now they've extended that to 15 minutes. You know what that means, Trev? That means I can waffle on about beer for an extra 5 minutes. Okay, now I'm not always going to do that, but that means we can slow down, we can take it a little bit easy, a little bit more relaxed. And I tell you what, with barley wine you need that little bit of time. Here comes the postman. This is live. You need that little bit of time because this is a very complex style of beer and it deserves your attention, and it's not something that you should rush. Now, barley wines basically fall into two different distinct styles. The first one is I would suggest the original, and that's your English barley wine style, or your British barley wines, and this is one of them. Oh, I bet that's a bill, Trev. I bet it's a bill. I bet there's nothing good in that postbox. It's an English or a British style of barley wine. They tend to be a lot more nutty, a lot more raisiny, a lot more malt accented than the new styles of barley wines that are coming in, which are very US based, so the US styles of barley wines. What are they? More hoppy, obviously using American hops with all their grapefruit, pine and resinous sorts of vibes to them. They tend to be even more alcoholic, of course. Americans tend to ramp everything up, including the ABV. So you'll find a lot more sort of tropical fruit and hop accented barley wines coming from the States. But this is old school. This is really, to me, kind of the way it was supposed to be done. And what's so interesting about this beer, it only uses one type of hop, and that is a Goldings hop from the UK. In fact, East Kent Goldings, one of the absolute top classic UK hops, grown all around where I grew up, Trev. Basically where I grew up, I was surrounded by East Kent Goldings hops, so this really is my hop, my kind of hop in this beer. And they use it both for the bittering and for the aromatics of this beer, and they even actually dry hop it with Goldings too, just to give it that little bit of extra boomph, that little bit of extra hop intensity to it. So we've had a look, let's give it a whirl and a little sniff. And straight away, Goldings to me, candy, floral, spice. They're the three buzzwords around Goldings for me, and I'm getting that. It's almost like you've dipped rose petals. I don't want to get too fancy down here, Trev. You know me. But it's almost like you've dipped rose petals in sort of like candy or melted sugar. You've got that really quite sweet but floral sort of nose to this beer. It really is quite yummy. Trev, have a little whiff of that. Tell me what you think. Isn't it different? It's different. It's very different from a lot of the barley wines that we've tried over the last few months, which have been American styles of barley wine.
I don't know, there's still a bit of toffee apple in there.
Yeah, toffee. There's definitely some toffee in there. There's lots of fruit. There's lots of. It's like a fruit basket in here. Again, a lot of that's coming from a bit of estery sort of stuff, but it's coming from the hops. But underneath all of that, of course, as any good barley wine should have, it's got a very thick, very structured malt body to it. So you've got that sort of bready notes there too. I'm getting rum, like rum and raisin, or bread. What's that sort of like fruit cake?
Bread pudding.
Bread pudding. Bread pudding. Fruit cake, you know, with all the raisins and the cherries and all those little bits. A little bit of that sort of action going on there too. Let's try some of it. Do you know what this is? This is delicious. It's actually, maybe it's the Marmite, because suddenly this is incredibly sweet. It's sweet, okay. First thing you're going to get, huge amount of sweetness to it. It's treacle, lots and lots of treacle. When you said toffee apple, I think you're about right there. You know, the actual toffee, melted toffee over the top of a toffee apple. You've got a lot of that treacle, brown sugar sorts of things going on there. Nuts definitely is there too. I think I put on the blog pecan nuts, you know, pecan nuts and a little bit of vanilla almost. So it's almost like pecan nut ice cream. It's deliciously smooth. There's very, very little carbonation. Again, that's actually a telltale sign of most barley wines. So it really is quite luxurious. That's what it feels like. It feels kind of luxurious. I can imagine actually sitting down with my smoking jacket on, big old fat Cuban or cigar, after dinner drink, snifter glasses, candlelight, castle, you know, and this being the beer in my glass. It really does feel opulent and quite decadent. Lovely stuff. It's got 10.5% in it. Let's be honest, that's there a little bit. There's a little bit of a solvent, sort of boozy petrol note to it. It's young. This is obviously fresh, this year's vintage, 2010. Barley wines are one of the absolute best styles of beer for aging. I think you'll find that this beer has got a little bit of too much aggressive alcohol notes to it right now. They will die away over the next 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. They're going to move to the side, and I think this very nice malt structure is going to push its way up to the front, and I think you're going to be rewarded if you can wait, if you can actually wait and resist the temptation of opening it. Then I think you'll find you're going to be rewarded with a very, very good, almost borderline exceptional barley wine in 5 years from now. So my recommendation would be this: buy at least 2 bottles. Drink one now. Drink one now. See what it's like. See whether, you know, because it's always fun to have a reference point. Save the other one until at least 2012, 13, 14. Open it then, and if you can, try and compare it. Look back and have a look at the two. It's called a vertical tasting. It's actually something we're going to do in a very well, perhaps even the next episode of BeerSweden TV, Trev. I don't know, but it's something that I think is worth waiting for. In terms of scores, Trev, I'm going to rate it on what it tastes like right now, because I think that's important. And right now I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. Giving it 3.5 out of 5. Now that's fairly low, some people may say, but I think the potential is there for 4 plus. Absolutely do. But right now I think it's running just that little bit hot with the booze. A little bit hot with the booze. And shall I give it 4, Trev? Shall I give it 4?
With Marmite.
4 with Marmite. If you eat it with Marmite,
You get it in Stockholm, you can get it in Gothenburg.
you get it in Gothenburg, Stockholm. I don't know if anyone knows this stuff's beautiful. If you grew up in England, this stuff is absolutely fantastic. Love it, you hate it. With Marmite with 4. If you don't have Marmite, I'm giving it 3.5. Still going to stick with 3.5, but with that little rider on it, that in a few years' time, I reckon you've got yourselves a 4 beer absolutely on your hands there. Great stuff. Wonderful addition to the Mohawk range. Well done, Wicked Wine. Well done, Stefan. I don't think there's anything left to say, Trev, other than cheers and beers.